Welcome, folks. If life has been feeling slower, quieter, and less urgent lately, it may not be something breaking. It may be something finally aligning. And in today's episode, we want to slow this moment down with you and explore what that alignment is really asking all of us. So we welcome you. Hey, everyone, we welcome you back. It's Step into Your Power. I'm Brother Jimmie, and I'm truly grateful to have you with us today. Believe it or not, this is episode 27, when slowness is a sign of alignment. So we have Sister Honey. I'm so grateful that you're here with us, Sister Honey. Do you want to say hello to everybody?
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone. So we've got a great segments for you today in episode 27. Lots of stuff going on. But what we're going to do before we dive into this, we're always want to find out from Sister Honey exactly what's going on and getting our little few minute energetic update. So, and maybe a little grounding, and then we're going to get right into it. So over to you, Sister Honey.
Yeah. So we're basically in the boom, boom, boom time right now, is what it feels like to me. There are tremendous things going on in the outside world. A lot of us are feeling intense energies in our bodies. And what I would encourage everybody to do is like filter it out. So you can either declare, I only hold my energy and no one else's, or you can physically like imagine yourself clearing off your energetic field. Imagine that you're in the garden and it's springtime and your feet are in the dirt. You can do all kinds of things to calm your energy down. But I would recommend you only carry your own energy right now and you filter away any energy that's not yours, because it's bombarding us right now. And if someone is really kind of having a moment, whether they're melting down emotionally, whether they're crying, whatever they're doing, that they're doing their own healing journey right now, it's not ours to carry anymore. And we used to do that quite a lot. And I think we're becoming more and more sovereign. And also, we need to trust that people can actually handle their own process and just love them and let them do what they need to do. So we've kind of gotten into that point right now, and it's beautiful, but we are at the end of that. And I don't know how many times we've said it, but we're at the end of the year of the snake, and all the knowledge is out there and it's coming out like crazy. And then also, we are shedding the skin we don't need anymore.
Yep. And the fire horse is almost upon us. So
Yes.
interesting. I'll be traveling next week, so we won't have a Step into Your Power episode. But after that, we're very close to the fire horse, and it's going to be a really exciting episode. So make sure you tune into it.
Mhm.
One of the things before we dive in, and I always forget to do this, even though I have my notes, and you see me looking once in a while here or there on my notes, but I always forget to show this image. So again, episode 27, when slowness is a sign of alignment. Gotta admit, that's a beautiful image. Let me know if you think that's a beautiful image down there in the comments. Also, if this resonates with you when you get done watching this, if it resonates with you and you haven't subscribed to our channel, or you haven't liked it or commented or shared it, please do that, because you wouldn't believe, and you can take a look at the comments on the other episodes, but you wouldn't believe how these conversations are helping folks. It's very important. And if you're giving that out, you're sending that to someone and it impacts their lives, it's in your positive energy bucket, right? The goal is we all want to overflow. We want to give from overflow. We won't want to give from depletion. You just heard what Sister Honey said about what's going on energetically. And we're going to get into our first segment here in a minute. But you heard what she said about that. Okay. It's real important that you're guarding your energy. I'll give you an example. I like to give examples. So last night I woke up at about 1:20 a.m. And all of a sudden, I cannot tell you every single business I'm involved in with every single thing I needed to do was all coming into my mind simultaneously with the answers. Now, I'm a person that wants to live in the now, but it was coming in simultaneously at once. It was wild. And I had to start, saying to myself internally in my mind, if this thought is not serving my highest purpose, I lovingly let it go and turn it into pure energy. If this thought's not from me, I lovingly return to sender. And then I was talking to the spirit, talking to myself about quieting my mind. It was an hour that I went through that.
Yeah.
You experiencing anything like that, Sister Andy? Because that was really wild.
I haven't recently, but I have in the past. And one thing that, humanity probably hasn't really tapped into this yet, but sleep patterns in the past were different than they are now. And I do believe that we will return to that. And basically, they would get up in the middle of the night around 1 or 2, and they'd be up for a couple of hours, and then they'd go back to sleep. And a big part of that was like doing spiritual work in the middle of the night because everything's more calm. Also, that's when a lot of babies were made. Like a lot of stuff was happening in the middle of the night for a couple of hours, and then everybody went back to bed. And I do think that we will get back into that mode. And a lot of people have started it already. And I know that I wake up around that time. I don't stay up as long, but I have very vivid, intense dreams. And I know they're astral plane, experiences, but I wake up and I've got some sort of message. So the night before last, I was given a box full of information, and I woke up and I had the box, and I think that was my next book. And then, and I started writing that yesterday. And then also, like last night, I was in a parallel and it was very extreme. And I woke up in the middle of the night as well. So I'm not staying up for an hour. But if I do get to that point where I'm even up for like 20, 30 minutes, I just get out of bed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Cindy gets up a lot during the night because she's with her pain she's got going on. But me, I usually sleep really solid, and I might get up once. But last night, I mean, the mind just was racing and all of that. And you just have to quiet it down. I was breathing, then you start seeing with your eyes closed all the purple. It almost looks like, a universal type of deal, universe. And so then I fell asleep and I woke up, but I've noticed the energy, grounding is very, very important. We talk about that constantly because it's so important that you do it. That's why we talk about it. It's really, really important. But, Sister Honey, thank you for the update. And, people have to be aware of what's going on energetically, because you can't try to fight the flow of what's going on energetically. It really is important. I mean, we had that conversation on the Ascension Mastery training and put a document together, literally showing people month by month. And that's going to actually be going in as a page, and also giving them the tools that they need to use for that month, because that's really important. What should you be listening to? Like I'll be on my brother Jimmie daily motivational post in the free community. I'm going to start actually giving people what they should be listening to frequency wise that day based on the energy of that day. So aligning with the energy is so important. I mean, It's so important to go with the flow. You hear Sister Honey and I talking about it a lot. So now that we named the feeling that something has shifted, which we all know, I want to slow this down again and talk about what the change has actually been feeling like for people, because that's important. So segment 1 is called, again, segment 1, I might have said one, didn't pronounce one right, is naming the shift. So we're going to get into a conversation back and forth with Sister Honey and I, and then you, of course, comment on it. And you can see we get back to the comments. So go look at the videos, look at the comments. You see where response was due, that there is a response. So we respond to the comments. Maybe not by tomorrow, but we get to them. Okay, I promise you we will get to them. So any comments that you have, any questions that you have, please put them in the comments because we're going to get to them. But Sister Honey, lately I've noticed that everything just seems to be taking longer. I mean, it's really amazing, whether it's decisions or momentum. It looks like things are taking longer than they usually take. And I think that has to do with, we can talk about, again, you're talking about the snake shedding its skin, and things, a lot of people are feeling it, I believe. And let us know if you're feeling that in the comments, that things are taking longer. But Sister Ann, I'm curious, you've been noticing any slowdown, but what is coming? Because I think we're not too far off where that feeling of slowdown is going to turn into something completely opposite.
Yeah. I think we're in the slowdown in our individual lives right now. And if you're being forced to go too fast right now, it doesn't feel good. So, think about that. If you have a normal job and you are going to that job every day and you're doing the same things that you were doing a few months ago, you might be feeling really annoyed by it, possibly. Because it's too much at this point, because we're shedding and letting go of so much. But as we go through this period, which is a recalibration period, we will get into the period where it's going to be just like, I see a stampede. When I think about the fire horse, I see a stampede in my head. And that means it's very fast. There will be a lot happening. And that doesn't mean that you have to jump in and do all kinds of things. But it does mean that the energies are going to speed up. And they're in kind of a weird, icky speed right now. And if you're being forced to go too fast, then it doesn't really work. But as that slows down and you get to completely recalibrate, right around the corner, it's going to speed up again.
Yeah, it's interesting because some of my notes, which you all know that I look at my notes, but one of them is about, less urgency than we used to be, less push, less adrenaline driving everything. It's so true because I feel that way myself, that I'm slowing down, but I also feel like we're on the verge of taking off. And this is, again, is the first year of a 9-year cycle, new 9-year cycle. And I'm looking at what's going on in my life. And I'm looking at really just continuing to optimize every area of it, but not in a way where I'm pushing or stressing, just going with the flow every day, doing what I can do without putting any kind of judgment on myself or putting any kind of stress on myself. How does all of this land in the body from your perspective, Sister Honey, when you got all of this stress and what's going on with people? Because we're going to talk about the nervous system. We talk about the nervous system a lot, and people probably, like, what are you talking about the nervous system? Well, it's very important to your being here on this planet. So, what is your perspective on that?
I think the nervous system is finally at a point where it is ready to recalibrate, and we're kind of, letting go of the last things that have interfered with the nervous system and kept what they call the vagus nerve, or I think it's the parasympathetic, calming down and being on track in a more normal way. Because most of the things that we're freaked out about are ridiculous. Like, they're not actually a threat. And reprogramming the nervous system is going to be like huge. And I think that's in the process right now. And as we speed up again, it will be more through joy than stress, and more through sovereignty than feeling like somebody else is making you do it.
Yeah. I think people, one of the hardest things for them is not knowing what's next. Like, I think right now around the world, people are like, what's going to happen next? Like, you can just see it. There's this bubbling up, and we've talked about, the great crumbling, that we have an episode title about the great crumbling, and that's going to happen. But what's beautiful is there's so many good things happening. I got to get a little story in here about what just happened. With this storm, winter storm across the country.
Mm.
My son Tommy, pray for him. He's basically, the cars were covered. He sent me a video of him looking out the window. No electricity since yesterday, and the cars are covered almost to the top. That's in Canton, Ohio. So that's happening, right? This cold weather is going on. We were supposed to get really hit here in Austin, but about a month ago, I talked about this system being placed in Austin. And all of a sudden, the news people are like, well, something's happening here. We're going to get the cold, but we're not going to get what we thought we were going to get here in Austin. And I'm just thinking in my mind, wow, this thing is amazing. And this is technology downloaded from the divine and angelic beings given to a brilliant individual, an Italian gentleman, that these units can be put out, just 350 of them around the world, and they'll bring the biosphere back thousands of years ago and clean up all the electromagnetic pollution. So folks, there are really exciting things going on. I'm seeing now generators being sold that have no need for fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Once you start them up with these magnets, they just keep running. So, cars that they're talking about running on water. So lots of good things going on. We're cleaning up the planet, so focus on the good. Don't worry about the crumbling. But, I understand about that nervousness about not knowing, Sister Honey. So what would you say to folks about that are struggling with that not knowing?
I would say get grounded first. And then once you're grounded, remember that you're a divine, eternal being playing a game of learning on planet Earth. And you're actually here at the most exciting time that has been in probably millions of years on Earth. So we're basically doing something that's never been done before. We're in the middle of ascension within a body. So a body has had to, and this is our body, had to change and morph and go back to its original blueprint. And there's no reason to be afraid. You create your own reality. So everything could be falling apart around you. And if you know that you're okay, you're going to be just like Neo in the Matrix, and you're going to be fine. So really get into that mode, and that will take away the fear. Fear is not going to be the way that we go forward. Love is going to be the way that we go forward. So just really channel in the love. And every time that you start to feel like your nervous system is going, a little bit too crazy, take a breath and breathe in love. Yes. To calm your nervous system back down, because we are going to have to manage our nervous system as we go forward and teach it to let go of fear.
Yeah, not to be stuck in the fight mode all the time. It's, people have that issue going on where they're actually addicted to that feeling.
Yeah.
Of anxiety and fear and all of that. So, one of the things that people sometimes assume when things slow down, that there's a massive something wrong, like, oh, there's something wrong here. What's happening? And, the nervous system, again, you touched on this. It's funny because I'm looking at my notes. You're already, you've got it. You always get ahead of the game here. But it's interesting about, the nervous system, like what we're doing on our one blog where we're writing articles about the nervous system and really showing people how, and we'll talk about that blog later, but really showing people how, to take care of that, and, working on your energy body and working, your physical body is really 70% water. Your nervous system is the electrical grid, and you're an energy being in this body that's almost all water. And when you look at yourself in a microscope, the most powerful, you're vibrating energy. So yeah, everything affects it. The way the planets are moving, all of that, Mother Earth's Schumann resonance, the sun's flares, the TV's 440 hertz, EMF radiation, all of these things affect your nervous system and much more. And you've got to really be making sure that you're taking care of that. That's why I love what we're doing in the community, Sister Honey, where we have tools to help people with their nervous system, and we have support with the prayer circle. We have support with the 2 lives that we broadcast out publicly a month. The Energy Body Reset, which is coming up this week, and the one we just had, the Portals Open. We have the Collective Prayer Circle, and that's all for our community and for the folks that are here watching us on whether it's YouTube or Facebook or Rumble, wherever you're watching us. Those are things that are there to help you, learn how to master this, to master this. So can you speak to this from a nervous system or body lens? Like, again, I think you talked about it a little bit, but before we move on to segment 2, can you reinforce that for everybody?
So I would go through some of the things that you can find in there and step into your power, the music, and think about what can I do to nourish myself. And Jimmie and I and Tommy, that's our humanitarian project. That's our first project. And it's going to lead to a lot of other projects, and a lot of, could be a project that you're creating as well. It could lead to that. So being aware of not just our project, but other people's projects and helping bring awareness to them. So that is what we're doing in there. But the first thing we're doing is gathering people together so that they can support each other and be positive about their own, basically, spark within them, their spirituality, their consciousness, and being kind to each other. So I would go in and say hi to people and talk to people in your local area, which is available for you, and get into some of those things that help, which are a meditation you could be doing, or you could be listening to certain kind of, frequency music, and just really getting your nervous system into a happy space, because all the tools are there. And we're doing all that for free. I think it's important right now. It's a beautiful thing that we can do. So we did. And I'm really excited about it, and I'm ready for it to grow so that you guys can find more of each other in your local area.
Yeah, there's over 8,000 people in there now, and we only brought it out beta at the end of, it was actually the end of April of last year, and it's growing, and it's going to grow more and more and more. And what's great about it is you're going to be able to meet people even in your local area and get that local support too, besides the online support. But like Sister Honey also said, it is the foundation of all of these sacred projects that people will bring to the table themselves. We have our own internal sacred projects that we're working on, like the thing I just talked to you about in Austin, and energy wellness and stuff like that, that we'll talk about a little bit today. But other people that are part of the Ascension Mastery that bring legitimate, ethical, honest, transparent projects to the table will actually have access to this community that's going to continue to grow. The people that are helping us with this, the company that I am part of, we built networks in the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands. The Patriot Network, with all the contacts and everything right now on social media, is about 1.4 million. So I see step into your power, this spiritual, it is a community of light.
Mm-hmm.
It really is, a sanctuary of empowerment. You'll go in there and you'll read the things that are going on with people and how it's helping support them, which is helping support their nervous system. It's really humbling to be involved in that. And I'm going to show you this beautiful little image here. Again, stepintoyourpower.com. And not only is it your spiritual community, but it's your empowerment community. It's you're learning things that you need to learn to help you, step into your power, building friendships in your local area, getting access to all the tools that we have to help you succeed. And guess what? It's free.
Mm-hmm.
It won't cost you nothing. If that's as far as you want to go, that's as far as you go. And guess what? If that's as far as you go and you're increasing your frequency and you're brightening your light and you're putting that into the collective, man, that helps so many people. That will help thousands of people alone. Back to you, Sister Honey.
Well, I think one thing that's coming up a lot is the idea of the beacon. So if you are full of light and you're basically going forward in your divine purpose, the reason that you came here, and you're feeling really good about it, and you are not getting stopped by anybody else because you're keeping your own power, you become a beacon. You become a shining light. You're sending out information all the time. And people that you come in contact with, they pick it up whether you say a word or not. You could be standing next to them in the grocery line. It doesn't matter. So it's really a beautiful time to be alive. And I think being a beacon is actually a beautiful thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is. And again, if this is resonating with you, like, comment, share, send to people, subscribe. It's important because, it's interesting. We were on the collective prayers, and we're going to move into segment 2 next, which is called the deeper pattern beneath slowness. Because I know a lot of people don't like slowness. It's funny because I was talking about everybody wants things like the McDonald's drive-through, where everyone wants this instant gratification. I won't say anything about McDonald's, but Brother Jimmie don't eat there. But everybody wants it quick, 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 and understand that we need to slow it down. And the divine is slowing things down, and you need to take advantage of it. It's really super important to do that, right? And one of the things that's important, really important, is not attacking people and actually going in and praying for, like, there's some people that were on collective prayers, and I'm not going to name no names, but they need healing. They need healing. And I said to them, I said to everybody, make sure that you go into the prayer request and give prayer to people, because you get what you give. And some of them don't do it. Right? So when you give love, you get love. When you give money, you get money. When you give prayer, you get prayer. If you want healing, you better be doing all these things, right? Because you got to get into alignment where you come into the right frequency, and then you're healed. So I know people might think that's crazy, but it isn't. And, most people don't understand that the reason that they're currently in the situation that they're in, whether they need healing or they need finances or whatever it is, own it. You're creating it. What's your thoughts on that, Sister Honey?
Yeah, we create everything. So either you took on some kind of program from your family, or from someone that you allowed into your life. And we don't let go of things as easy as the universe would necessarily wish us to. So we're kind of at a point where it's time to learn to let go of things. It's time to learn lessons and move forward. And that's what we're being pushed to do right now. But if you have something that really has been plaguing your life, whether it's an illness or lack of abundance in some way, which honestly, illness is a lack of abundance. So keeping that in mind, those things, it's time to let go of them. And you can work on your energetic field. You can manifest. And that's what the prayers and Step in Your Power are about. It's actually manifestation that we're doing in there. But the nervous system needs to feel well, needs to feel healed. And as you talk to your body, things will shift. The nervous system also needs to allow in a certain amount of abundance. So if you're negative about, finances or lack of being able to go on vacation or whatever you see as abundance, then it will be reflected back. And I think it's really important at this point to own it, like you said, to own who we are and to fix what we don't want to carry anymore. Because we're in prime time for doing that right now over the next few weeks.
And stop speaking it.
Yes.
Stop speaking it. If you feel that you don't have money, stop saying that. If you want healing, stop talking about how sick you are and how much pain you're in. You got to stop talking about it. Stop feeding it your energy, because all you're doing is growing it stronger.
Yeah.
When you talk about it and you're passionate, I hear people talking about, their sickness with passion and all that. Man, you're manifesting it even more. Don't talk about that. Talk about how healthy you are. You know what I do now? Right when I wake up in the morning, because that hour of power, the 30 minutes when you wake up and the 30 minutes before you go to bed, making sure that you're doing what you need to do to help, optimize yourself to the highest level. And I just go through in my mind and I go through all my I am affirmations. And then I've got a prayer besides I've got like 7 canvases of prayers with 9 prayers or more in each one on different aspects. But before I even get to that, and before I even get to my office, that first 30 minutes that I'm up, I'm making sure that I'm doing positive stuff. I'm thinking positive thoughts. And before I even get out of my bed, I'm going through these affirmations, positively speaking about myself. Right? I mean, you're part of the divine. The divine made you, you're in the divine, and the divine's in you. Don't talk negativity about yourself, because you're powerful. And life and death is in the tongue, and you shall eat the fruit of it. So what are you speaking in your life? Are you speaking good things? I know I work really, 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 really hard on speaking good things. How about you, Sister Honey?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so important. And your self-talk, the things you don't say out loud, are just as important as the things that you say out loud, because thoughts create things. And the whole body is made of light, just like you said, vibrating energy. And we're created from plasma, and plasma is the body of God source. Plasma is what everything is made of. So really, you want to be kind to yourself, because words are spells. And we don't need to cast spells on ourselves that are negative. And I think that that's part of the program that was laid out for humanity, and it was part of the distortion. And that also has to collapse. So when that collapses, it will even make the outside world so much better. It's going to be beautiful.
Yep. And do not worry about what's going to happen over these next couple years with all of this crumbling in politics and religion and all of it. Let it happen. Let it go. Don't get attached to it. Don't put your energy in it. Keep focused. So once, okay, so I'm going to read this. So once we've recognized that things feel slower on the surface, the next question becomes why, what's actually happening underneath all this. So the deeper pattern beneath slowness. One thing that's been really clear to me is that the slowness isn't stagnation. I wrote this down. It feels more like something integrating beneath the surface. So usually I'm, coming out of 2025, it's like, ending this 9-year cycle, speeding into January and really slowing down. Not that I wasn't doing my column exercises. And again, a column exercise, because I know somebody's asked me in the comments, and I did give the answer, is when you take, a pad, you can take any pad that you want. I've got my pad for today that I'm writing my stuff down. But you take a pad, you write a straight line down through it. You put whatever it's in reference to, like, relationship, wellness, health and wellness, whatever. And on one side, you write at the top, what is serving me? And at the other side, you write, what is not serving me? And you really honestly list what is serving you and what is not serving you in every area of your life. And the name of the game is get rid of what is not serving you.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere, get rid of it. So, Sister Annie, how do you see that distinction between stagnation and integration? Because some people, they feel like they're stagnant, but really what's happening with this slowdown is all this integration, because we were bombarded with energy last year like I've never seen in my life, this time around.
Yeah, it's integration, and it's also the universe asking you to go within. So if you feel like you're stagnating, it means that you don't want to look inside, usually. So keep that in mind if you're feeling like you're stagnating. Say, am I willing to go look inside and see if there's things that I can let go of right now? Because the universe is really asking us to do that right now. Really asking us to let go of things we don't need.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
It's important. I mean, some of the things that I'm still dealing with, but I'm getting resolution and, I'm really feeling good about it. But it kept on, because I didn't want to deal with it at the beginning of last year. It just kept coming back and coming back and coming back. And it's like, okay, you're going to deal with this. You're going to deal with this. Sorry, you're going to deal with this. So what I'm learning, like everyone else is that you got to deal with it. Mm-hmm. Whether you like it or not, you got to deal with it. And again, the column exercise is really, really good so that you become aware, because if you don't write it down, it's like me, I'll write down, besides the fact that I have a project management system, Sister Honey knows this, not that she loves it, she knows it, but that's who I am, you know what I mean? And not that she needs to be that, but I like to get everything down, tasks and subtasks and all of the things. But also I have a to-do list that I write down, like, what are these things I need to accomplish today besides my team list, task list that have to do with the business? And I write it down. I mean, writing things down is really important, doing these column exercises and really get clear where you're at and accept this slowdown, not as stagnation, but as integration, because it truly is integration, because we're getting ready for the fire horse. And this is going to be one ride of 12 months coming up. And it's really exciting. So I'm really grateful for the slowdown, personally.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You're grateful, Sister Ronnie, for that?
Yeah, I'm very grateful for that. I'm actually forcing like days off and stuff right now, just so I can slow down more. Because sometimes, when you're in certain positions, there's lots of things that could be happening and everybody wants them to be happening. And, you have to say no. So be willing to say no if it doesn't work for you on a certain day. Also, just be aware that it is totally time to let go of these things, because we are going to have so many things that become available to do. It's like we're moving into this very, very sovereign time with the fire horse. So this is a time to take a break. It's a time to get clear on what you actually want. And it's a time to let go of things that might hold you back, blocks. If you were like, if you were manifesting something, it would be the blocks that would be in the way, the ideas that would stop you from doing certain things. And now's the time to work through those. And we're going to move right into the fire horse, and you won't have that holding you back anymore. You won't have that backpack of stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. I got one of my notes here. When someone's been living in urgency for a long time, the body doesn't just shift overnight.
Mm-mm.
What actually happens in the nervous system when urgency starts to settle? So it's interesting because that's fight or flight. They're living in that fight or flight, and they're used to living that way. And actually, chemically, they're
Yeah.
almost addicted to living that way. Um, Again, the thoughts are important. The grounding's important. The breathing's important. Not reinforcing the negativity is important. Not feeding that what you don't want, your energy. What is your thoughts beside that? I know we've covered a lot of that. Again, we're always ahead of our notes, but
Right.
which is good. But hey, I'm trying to make sure we give you all that we have for you in this episode.
Yeah. I would say, so ask me the question again.
So what actually happens in the nervous system when urgency starts to settle? Like when,
Okay.
people have been living in that fight or flight, for so long, it's almost like, they wear it. They own it. It's part of them. It's part of their DNA. But what actually happens in the nervous system when urgency starts to settle? Because again, we talked about even when people get good things, how their nervous system reacts maybe in a negative way. Can
Mm-hmm.
you talk about that again? What actually happens in the nervous system when urgency actually starts to settle?
It kind of short circuits a bit, to be honest. So think about like, a breakup that you had in college or whatever. And what do? You go and you eat ice cream for 3 days, and you lay in bed. And that's actually okay because your nervous system is recalibrating. Maybe you need to go somewhere else, you know? Maybe you need to go 3 towns away and get an Airbnb where nobody knows you and just be for 3 days. Do something outside of your comfort zone so that you can actually disengage with all the things that have kept you in fight or flight. And that
Yeah.
means some of the people too.
Yeah, you've got to look around you and see the people that are in your lives, and are they helping serve your highest purpose, and or not. And if not, you have to set boundaries with
Mhm.
family members. I don't care if it's a spouse, children, whatever. You've got to set boundaries. You got to let them know, look, I'm not going to live in a negative environment. So if you would like to be negative towards me, then you can not be around me.
Right.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
Brother Jimmie says that. I can tell you quickly, okay? Because I don't want to feel that way. I don't want that energy around me because that energy attracts more of it. Whatever you're putting out, you're getting back. And now I've never seen it happen so quickly. I see people attacking other people, that it comes back on them and starts taking them down. And guess what? As this frequency continues to increase, that's going to happen even faster. So you got to be really careful what you're saying about yourself and what you're saying about others and what you're doing
Mhm.
with your energy. Because if you're out there putting out negative energy, making negative comments and, hating on yourself and hating on everybody else, good luck with that. It ain't going to work out for you. And it's only getting worse as far as rapidly getting that, you want to say boomerang karma? I don't know, but it's coming back at you quickly. What do you have to say with that, Sister Honey? Have you been noticing that, like the boomerang effect?
Yeah. It's very quick. And it's because we are in the fifth density and we're trying to learn to completely let go of the third density and all the programming that came with it. The fifth density is not the fifth dimension yet. We haven't really learned how to be in the fifth dimension, and that's a consciousness thing. But in order to be there, which is where the universe wants us, we have to see that we create our own reality. So if you're thinking a bunch of negative thoughts or you have a lesson that you haven't learned yet, all those kind of things will come up and be reflected in front of you. And it's not fun, but if you realize it as fast as you can, then you can get through it and stop having that lesson, because lessons are being learned so fast right now. It's so intense because we're not carrying them into this next thing. We're not carrying them into the fire horse energy. The universe doesn't want that in there, and we're not going to be doing it. So think about like the new babies that are coming in. A lot of people are choosing to leave right now. And what they're doing, a lot of them are coming right back in, and they're being born without karma, without programming, without genetic stuff, because the genetic stuff is also being cleaned up. So these babies are being born free, and they're going to take us to a whole nother level because they don't want to carry all the gunk. And if they come into a family that hasn't healed a lot of their stuff, that family has to look at all of it. That baby will force you to look at it until it's healed, because they don't want to carry it for you. They're not here for that. They're here to help the world and change the world.
Yeah. It's interesting that what you just said, because one of the next statements and then questions I have is when you notice a lot of people being confused that the identity hasn't caught up to who they're becoming. So what do you see people wrestling with during this identity gap? So there is this identity gap going on right now. So
yeah,
what do you think about that? People are wrestling with that.
Well, I would say enjoy yourself as much as you can. Be with nature and do the things that are fun for you. And then the answers that you're seeking will just start to flow in, because they flow in when you're in play. If you're serious, if you're grinding away at things, the answers are not going to come in. They come in when you're in flow and when you're happy and when you're relaxed.
Yeah. When you're not fighting against the flow. This is the reason why on the Ascension Mastery, we put together this document, which we're building a page out of, that goes through every month and what really you should be doing within those months based on the energetic situation of that month. And, it's interesting, I don't, condemn or endorse any man-made thing, whether it's politics or religions or anything that separates. I love everybody. I don't care what they belong to, what club they belong to. But again, you have connection to the divine yourself. You don't have to get involved in all of that. And you're going to see a lot of shaking happening in all of these pillars of society, like we talk about a lot.
Yeah.
But it's so important that you're focusing on yourself. And, I have a note here about, embodiment almost always moves slower than awareness. So people think that things aren't happening to them because they're currently not aware of them. But a lot of things are happening to you that you're not yet aware of, that you soon will be. And that's going to continue to go on like that. You don't need to fear it. What's your question for you, Susanni, and how would you help someone understanding that without making it feel discouraging, that, their embodiment will not always come with the awareness of the embodiment?
Yeah. So if you think about the body moves slower. The thoughts move really fast. Sometimes you have a thought and then it's gone, right? It goes really fast. If you don't acknowledge it, if you don't input it or do something about it. But the body absorbs all of it, processes it slower, and then starts to feel it. So if you were somebody that had been injured, let's say, that injury would start in the energetic field and then it would come to the body. So if you healed it in the energetic field first, before it got to the body would never feel it at all. But most of us, because we've been in the 3D, we've had to feel it before we were ready to heal it. And now we're moving out of that. And we're going to feel it in the energetic field first. But this could take us years and years and years to be that tapped in to our own, energetic field. There's all these energy bodies. There's like layers that go out. And it's important that we caretake them, but we're not totally tapped into what that really looks like yet. But we will be eventually. But right now, be kind to the body, because the body is basically your computer, your awareness here. And if it's saying, listen, my arm hurts, start tuning into what that means and what you can do to help it feel better. Because the body is our vessel, it's our car, it's our computer, it's like everything here, because we're experiencing everything through the body, including abundance, including love, including all of it is through this mechanism. And it's a beautiful divine mechanism. And I think that we've been taught to bypass it and call it a meat suit and, all kinds of stuff like that. But it's our consciousness. It's our consciousness made solid, which it isn't really solid, but we think it is. So it's made solid and it needs to be honored.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the things we're gonna talk about next, and then we're gonna get into segment 3, is what we're doing with quantum energy wellness and building out education, and going to be building out a directory of wellness centers around the world, first English speaking, and then we'll go probably into 2028 into all multiple languages.
Mm-hmm.
We're working on it. We have the site up already. You can go visit it at quantumenergywellness.com/power. That way we know you came from step into your power. And that's what we want you to do. We want you to step into your power. My son, Tommy, has created some great songs.
He did.
One of them's up on the YouTube. I got like 4 more going up there. Just beautiful songs about stepping into your power. It's just amazing. But go on over there. We've got 4 blog posts up. I'm working on another one right now. We're going to continue to put a couple up a month. We'll get into the rhythm over the next few months more and more. That's going to be a site for education on really understanding your quantumness and really understanding how to take care of that nervous system that is like Sister Honey said, this is your temple.
Yeah.
In this existence right now, in this lifetime, and you got to really take good care of it. You can't, abuse it and expect to get good results from it. You have to really work on it. And that's another reason, again, we created the community so we can help support you and give you the tools that you need to thrive through the great crumbling, mm-hmm. and come out on the other side better than you were before the great crumbling started. And again, we're building this for the future of our children and grandchildren. Sister Honey said something very important. Some people, and again, we're not running like a Hollywood studio production here, folks. We're just Brother Jimmie and Sister Honey, but it's so important it's so important. And I now lost my train of thought, so I'm going to get back to my notes. But what was I saying, Sister Honey?
I don't remember either.
She don't remember either. We both got our minds going a mile a minute. But
Uh,
no, it's really important to get support from others. And that's what that
yeah.
community's for, where you can get support from others. And you don't have to even talk if you don't want to. You can just go in there and look around, but you need that. Do you have it? Most people don't have that in their own family.
Mhm.
Most people, when they're talking like we are talking in their family, they're an oddball in their family. They're like, oh, what are you,
Yeah.
crazy? Well, everybody's going to find out how crazy we really are as these things keep on accelerating and unfolding. It's pretty interesting what's going on. So next, we're going to go into segment 3. And when the integration is happening internally, it doesn't stay abstract. It starts showing up in very real everyday parts of life. So segment 3, how this shows up in real life. How does all this show up in real life? Sister Honey, what do you see people needing most when their output starts changing? So meaning, oh, I missed this. I hear so many people saying that work and productivity just don't feel the way they used to. And you've talked about this a lot, why it just doesn't feel like that. And these new generations, okay, I know what I was talking. It came back. Sister Honey was talking about a lot of older people are leaving,
Yes.
or younger people are leaving and coming back to be reborn again, because they understand where we're going to be by the time they get up. And again, all this stuff we're doing is to help humanity for our future generations.
Mhm.
So productivity. So again, I'll say this. I hear so many people say that work and productivity just don't feel the way they used to. True. Sister Honey, what do you see people needing most when their output starts changing? So this starts changing. What do you think they need?
They need to have faith that they will be okay. That's really important. That they will attract in whatever they need. And it's time to let go of thinking that you have to constantly grind in order to survive, because survival will not be something that we worry about in the future, unless you fall into the ocean and something eats you. I mean, just basic everyday stuff is not going to be about survival anymore. So we need to be willing to let go of that. And that's basically it. Like, have faith that you'll be okay and do things for yourself right now that will recreate the beauty that you want to create in the world, And maybe you just need a break. You need to just be for a while. Sometimes you have to just take that time to do absolutely almost nothing.
Yes, it's so true. It really is. And, so let me see. So how do you see creativity reshaping itself during these seasons? Like with people, because some people are saying that their creativity is slowing down, it's changing. They are changing. Again, they don't really. What do you say about that?
I think we're going to be more creative than ever before after we recalibrate. I mean, there are people that I was doing things with, making fun little songs with, or, doing little projects with for fun. And those kind of fizzled out recently. And it's not because we don't like each other anymore. We're not friends. It just means that we didn't have that creative drive in that, right now, because right now it's all about purging. It's all about letting go of what we don't need. And the next thing we create is going to be beautiful. And it may be
Yeah.
bigger too.
I think it's going to be real big. I had to increase my brightness a little bit. For some reason, Brother Jimmie gets dark over here at a certain time. But yeah, it's going to be very beautiful. And people need to have faith and understand that all of this is going to turn out the way it is supposed to turn out. No matter what the crumbling brings, we'll get to the other side of this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Very excited, by the way, about silver again. But remember, it'll go up, it'll go down, it'll go up, it'll go down. But eventually, Sister Honey believes it'll be very nice. So we shall see. I trust her word, but we shall see. But every morning my wife's like, "Oh, you're looking at it," because I'll give her the price of silver. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
I've also noticed relationships recalibrating, fewer obligations, more honesty. What do you notice happening relationship wise when people slow down?
They're more willing to actually be themselves. And that's the thing. Like, we're not going to be able to keep up all the masks that people put out when they're like first dating somebody, and then eventually that more and more of themselves become revealed. It's going to be full on, this is me at the beginning, because the only person that we're going to really be with is going to be our divine partner. And some people have mentioned, oh, well, am I supposed to leave my person because my divine partner is coming in? No. If you are happy, your divine partner is already there. So remembering that is important, and going with your own intuition is really important. Some people have been with their divine partner for a very long time. There has been a lot of consciousness that has grown within people and changed within people, so thinking that everybody has a one size fits all isn't really accurate. Some people will choose not to meet their divine partner here on earth, but they will go home and they will have, be with them again. Maybe they have a job that they don't need that extra help with, or they're not going to stay that long. Like, just allow whatever is right to happen for you. But we're not going to date in the weird way that we used to.
Yeah, it's interesting. But one of the things is too, and this is just a little advice, that I have just from experience, is if somebody's saying something that is hateful to you and they're a partner or a spouse, you just have to be very calm about it. Sometimes you don't need to acknowledge it. And then sometimes you can just say, is it that you like to say unkind things to me? Or just do it in a very calm manner, right? And then they'll start thinking about it, and then all of a sudden they're quiet. So you've got to not let people trigger you, whether they're a spouse or their family members, children or grandchildren or business partners. You don't want to let anyone trigger you, because as soon as you do, you've given them control of you. The energy is becoming more selective. It really, truly is. And I'm feeding the light. And so is Sister Honey. And so are many of you watching this. You want to feed it more. Maybe you do a column exercise again. What am I feeding?
Yeah.
Draw it down the middle. And what are you feeding that's serving you? And what are you feeding that not? Light and darkness. Mm-hmm. And you'll be truthful about it, and then start cleaning it up. It's important. First you got to be aware. You don't have to panic. You don't have to get down on yourself. You don't have to stress out about it. Be aware of it. Don't take it personal. Don't take it with a bunch of emotions. Just eliminate what's not serving you. Just optimize. I was doing optimization on the internet before anybody even knew it was, including myself. I had no idea what it just made logical sense to me to do it. Mm-hmm. Split testing, funnels, all those things that, people that have done tremendous amounts of money online do today still. And now AI is making it even more. It's very interesting. And I was doing that. I didn't know I was doing that, but it made sense to me. It's the same thing as you're optimizing your business or whatever. You got to optimize everything going on in your life, and you got to be aware of it. You got to weed that garden and make sure the things that you have in your life are serving you. So So important. Sister Honey, how can someone tell the difference between discernment and pulling away?
Hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because so you may, like, let's say it's a family member that has kind of blown up or something, and maybe they're in the midst of purging something out. But you can say, listen, I can't really spend time with you in this moment. So that is not abandoning someone. If you're actually leaving, then they've gotten you to the point where they're not changing and they're not like dealing with their own stuff. So you have to walk away. That doesn't mean it's permanent either, but they may not know that. And there's been a lot of that during this time. There's been a lot of friendships that have disintegrated. There's been a lot of family stuff that hasn't gone very well. And that is part of the whole process of basically the frequencies. Some people are keeping up with them, some people are not. There's different timelines going on, and it's more magnified than ever before right now.
It is. It really is. And, one of the things that is so, it seems like if you just look at, like I get my son, Michael, he comes into me, telling me about all this new stuff. And I tell him, don't come to me with this new stuff. I don't care what's going on there. I'm focused on my energy, what I'm doing for the divine, the new earth mission, not this old crumbling stuff. I could care less about it. I wanted to talk about a little bit about energy wellness for a moment before we go into our final segment. And we're going to have about 5 minutes or so there, and then we're going to close the show. But it's a good segment, so stick around, don't leave. Okay, lots of good stuff. And I'm involved in this company. I've been involved in it since 2016, and I lost a brother from prescription drugs. I lost a mother from juvenile diabetes and problem with stuff. And I know that over in the East, for tens of thousands of years, they've used what they call energy medicine. So this band that you see on my wrist is called an Ultimate Wellness Band.
Mm-hmm.
Sister Honey has one too.
Yep.
Helps with focus, energy. It's got over 300 frequencies in it to help you. Also on the phone, we have a disc here, and this is a strip, but this helps mitigate EMF radiation, and it's put on all the electronic devices. We've got one I'm testing out right now is Vitality. I've got a focus, but we have relief, we have sleep, we have a muscle map. We got all kinds of energy wellness stuff. And you should go on over there and take a look at bodyline.com/power again. And Bodyline is really one of the foundational companies that has helped supporting what we're doing within the free Step in Your Power community. But on top of that, millions and millions of these patches and discs have been sold around the world. And you go to the site and you look at the 5-star reviews, and you got doctors on there, you got people talking about what's happening with this stuff. Now, why does that make sense that that's happening? You're an energy being having another human experience. Maybe you probably have had a lot more human experiences. I know I've had way too many. This is hopefully my last one where I'll complete everything. And you need to be treated with frequencies, which treats the energy body, that realigns you. Okay. So that's what Bodyline's all about. And, we give this free community, Step in Your Power. We give this free educational resource, Quantum Energy Wellness. And then we're building out a directory where people will be able to find these wellness centers in their backyard that are doing frequency technology, doing light technology, doing sound technology, doing the latest, greatest wellness stuff. And then we've got Bodyline that already has, we're going to be rolling out another 8, probably 8 patches, energy wellness patches, over the next year and a half. And it's exciting because so many people are getting such wonderful results from it. And, I myself personally, I use it, and Sister Honey uses it, and my son uses it, and a lot of the folks that are in the community using it. And guess what? It helps support you energetically and also helps support the community. That's the only thing we show you on this episode that that we would like you to go, if you want, if you feel it, and purchase to help support what we're doing here. That's it. Okay. We don't have a bunch of other sponsors coming in where you see these people, oh, hold on for a second, I got to read this thing for this sponsor paying me all this money. We're not going to do that ever.
No.
As this grows, we're doing things that are our sacred solutions and our sacred projects that are going to help. They're good for the world and they're good for the people. They're good for the planet. They got to be good for the people and good for the planet. That's all Brother Jimmie needs to say about that. But all these links or descriptions are in the description below. And if your heart feels that you want to do that for yourself and your family and help the free community, then do it. And if not, it's okay. We're okay with either one. So let's go into segment 4, permission, reframe, and trust. So first thing I am going to ask Sister Honey. So I think one of the most important things people need to hear right now is that they are allowed to move slower. So Sister Honey, what does permission actually feel like in the body to move slower?
I think it's self-respect. Be kind to you. Learn how to love you first. Because if you don't love you, then you don't really know how to love anybody else. And we're at that point now where we're going to become, and this came up in another astrology thing that I did today, we're moving into being radically sovereign. And that doesn't mean being mean to other people because you're saying, no, I'm not doing that. It's not because you're doing that. It's because you're saying, does this or does this not work for me? And being willing to say, no, I'm sorry, it doesn't work for me. And you don't have to explain and, go into a long explanation of why, but just being able to check in with yourself and say, it doesn't work for me. I can't do that for you right now. And being able to slow down is part of that, because it is really time to be within. And maybe you're somebody that's really healed and you don't need to do that right now. Maybe you're ahead of the game. But most of us are clearing up a layer that we haven't touched on yet. And it's a beautiful time to get that done, which means things are slower. I've noticed a lot of businesses are a little bit slower right now. There's just a lull going on, and it's because people are recalibrating. They are taking time for themselves right now.
Yeah. And it's okay that it's a little slower.
Mm-hmm.
It is. And it's January, so usually it's a little bit slower. Sometimes it's not. But it is slower this January. You can feel it, personally, business wise, you can feel, it's slowed down and in a good, it's time to, really look at everything and optimize it. So there's a lot of pressure to know what's next, even when nothing is ready yet. So how do you help someone stay grounded in that not knowing? They get really nervous about, they don't know the next thing coming.
Yeah, and it's because their nervous system always wants to know the next step so that they stay safe. And my message is, you've always been safe. You're eternal. So really work with that and remember that when you start to feel like things are out of control, we don't need to know what's happening tomorrow. We need to be present for what's happening in this moment. And that changes everything. You're happier and you're not looking forward all the time, looking forward actually creates anxiety, So, yes, make plans, but don't need to know all the details of what's this person going to do tomorrow? How are they going to act? Am I going to be able to go on that excursion that I wanted to go on tomorrow, or are they going to cancel? Like thinking about all those scenarios about the next day, the next month, they actually slow everything down because you're not in the present moment. You're not enjoying what you're doing right now.
Yes, yes, yes. That's so true. So the reframe I keep coming back to is that slowness is alignment integrating, not ambition disappearing. And so how would you help someone trust that reframe when they're feeling anxious and that's going on? So
I would just say, it is time to learn how to have faith in ourselves and in the divine,
yes,
because we're in a major process. And I would just say, ask yourself, where is that faith? And what is stopping me from having it? What do I need to clear?
yes. Can you hear me okay, Sister Honey? Am I
Yeah.
coming in loud and clear? Okay, I
Yep.
want to make sure my mic is, I don't sound like I'm echoing or anything, do I?
No, you just got really loud though.
Oh, I got louder. Okay.
Okay.
So, but you could hear me okay. I was just making
Yeah.
sure because I wasn't too close to the mic. My voice is loud though, so we're good. So when trust returns to the body, things start to move again. You were just talking about just differently. Faith, trust. What helps trust come back online for people?
It really is a leap of faith. It depends on the person, but you do have to have a leap of faith in this process at some point. And it really is kind of right now that we have faith that the world will unfold in the way we're creating it. So the biggest person to have faith in is yourself.
Yeah. And speak like it, walk like it, act like it. That's the one thing. When I do my prayers, some people might say, well, that's a lot. These are not religious prayers. These are very divine prayers that I speak directly to the Creator. And when I speak them, I don't speak them begging. I speak them as they are. And I speak them with gratitude and thanks. Have faith and speak good into your life. Watch what happens when you do that. You can trust it. Like Sister Annie said, you got to have faith. You got to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Knowing that, Yahushua, which some people call Jesus, I know as Yahushua, that walked this planet 2,000 years ago, incarnated, and taught a lot that most people have never seen. The books of the Essene, 6 books that Yahushua wrote, a lot of different conversations, was in India, was in Tibet, was all over in Egypt. We know that, right? Was in Egypt, learning everything, mastering everything. And if you really truly knew what Yahushua said and other ascended masters said, you would understand that you would speak kindness to everybody. You would love unconditionally, forgive unconditionally, speak kindness to everybody, because Yahushua said that you will do these things and much more. We're coming to the much more years in a big way, if you're ready for them. If your frequency is vibrating in the right frequency for them. If your stewardship is in the right place for them. A lot of people will say, well, I don't have this, or I don't have that, or I don't have this, or I don't have that, because you're not ready for it. And you're speaking all of this negativity into your life. You're not going to have it.
Yeah.
You're not. And you got to be ready for it. You have to be the right kind of steward for it. It's so important. So let me go ahead and make sure that I've got covered. Wow, Sister Honey, we pretty much stayed on point pretty much today. I'm pretty proud of what we've done. We stayed on point. So again, if you like what you've heard, send us some love, like, subscribe, comment, share it, build that bucket of positive energy, fill your bucket of light, love other people, say kind words to other people. It's okay to be nice. It's okay to say kind words. Sister Honey, you say this a lot. It's interesting. Before we close today, we're going to be here a few more minutes, but then we're going to close up this episode. You always say this. People don't know how to communicate with each other anymore. They don't know that we're all sisters and brothers. We're in the divine. We're all part of the divine. We're all soul family. That's another great thing about stepintoyourpower.com. You can see it under our names here. Is that you got a community there of soul family that loves you. A lot of kindness going on. By the way, Brother Jimmie doesn't let no negativity go on in there. I'm the guardian of that community, so it's gone. It's terminated quick. But it's love and light. And not that people don't talk about their issues and all that. We understand that. That happens in the general community. And as people get into Ascension Mastery because they want to get involved in more training, more time with Sister Honey, myself, my son, and more documents, more videos, more stuff, and get involved in sacred projects, if it's right for them and the timing's right, that's great. And there's less of that going on there because people are at a certain stage at that time, right? But we love everybody in there, regardless of what's going on. And I mean, we've had people that, thought about committing suicide, all kinds of stuff going on in there. Okay. But it's a place that you can feel safe.
Yes.
It's a safe space in a good way.
It really is. And it goes more to consciousness it goes more to within than without. So it's more about what's going on within you and within others than what's going on and all the little things that are going on in the world right now in the movie is what we call it. So it's not focused on that. And I really appreciate that because that is the next step. And we're basically building the foundation for communication as we go forward.
And it's a fact, like we said, before we got started today, that this is the step into your power. Again, I'll show that. Stepintoyourpower.com is the foundation where all this gathering is going to happen. It's happening now. It's going to continue to grow. Again, I've been doing internet marketing and technology for 30 years. I was doing it when people didn't even know what it was. And I was laughed at when I wanted to do the dog business online. And people told me that would never work. And $30 million later, it worked. Okay. A lot of issues with partners and stuff, but life isn't, without, this is why it's spiral. That's why you see on a lot of our images where we have our spiral icon, because life is spiral. It's not straight. And it could be spirals within spirals, by the way. But enjoy the journey. Love your life. Give love to people. Send out light. Sister Honey, before we go, you want to say any closing words before we go today?
I would say just be yourself and really get to know yourself right now and know who you are and what you want to go forward with, and do your best to let go of what you don't want to take forward into this next stage. And if you haven't let go of it, start implementing things that will help you do that. And if you don't know what those are, then ask for a sign. And then it will come and you can start to change your life. And just know that you are divinely protected. You have guides and angels everywhere, every single one of you, and that we are totally okay. and that we are playing a learning game, and it's the biggest one in the universe right now. And it will be for a while, because we are basically graduating the human race from suffering and kind of a yucky existence into something beautiful that is good for everyone.
Yes. Yes. On those words, we love you all very much. Thank you very much for watching this episode with us. We love you. We invite you to the community. Come and walk with us, sit with us. Until the next time, take care.
Love you guys.
Love you.